So I want to talk about one of my favourite ever games. A favourite ever game series, if I'm completely honest. And I am talking about the Strike series. And the one I really want to talk about today is Soviet Strike, that came out in 1996 for the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn in 1997. Originally I played the Sega Saturn version first, but today I'm playing the PS1 version. But before I get any further into the video, if you do enjoy my videos or you like videos like this, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I post pretty much daily retro gaming content. But anyway, on with the video. This is one of the funnest games I've played in a very long time, and it still holds up to this day. So Soviet Strike was this helicopter based shooter game. It's part of the Strike series, which includes like Jungle Strike, Urban Strike and Desert Strike. And as I said, this one came out in 96, 97 and was for the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. Originally it was intended for this game to be released on the 3DO platform, but unfortunately due to like the market and whatnot, it was moved over to PlayStation and Saturn and released in the subsequent years I've already mentioned. I'm not saying it again because I feel like I've said it too many times. And like the other games in the Strike series, you take control of a helicopter and you blow shit up, and it is so fun. The controls are very fluid, very fun and very easy to get used to. I will say, going back to it now, the camera angle is a bit of a nightmare compared to the other games. The other games are more isometric, while this one is directly behind the camera, and you do have a little bit of trouble trying to see what's an enemy and what's a deer by the looks of things. But you know, it's good to play. It's fun once you get used to it. The game has like 5 or 6 large open levels that have different missions that take place in these landscapes, so you really get used to the land and what you do in all of them, and your missions result like sort of mix between sort of blowing up enemies or rescuing other soldiers or prisoners of war. That's basically it. More or less anything that you see on the map is destructible, so you can just blow up pretty much anything if you've got the ammo for it, from like buildings, trees. There's a lot of anti-air turrets that you kind of have to get around. They can blindside you a little bit, and the aiming does get a little bit to get used to, but overall it's pretty fun. Like I really enjoy going back to this. It didn't feel like a chore. I didn't feel like I had to relearn anything. It was overall really good. I would say this is a solid B tier game, and B tier games are often just the best. They get the most fun out of them, I think. Like, it's not trying to be this like AAA experience. It's trying to be a run-of-the-mill arcade shooter, military shooter, gun 'em up game. So the story takes place during the end of the Soviet Union, which is a massive power vacuum. There's all these private militaries and artificial intelligence that comes in and just tries to sort of like take over most of like the Russian states, and it's up to your character or your pilot to just mow everything down with rockets, which is probably the best way to deal with things. I think the graphics have held up quite well for a PlayStation 1 game. You can definitely tell it's a PlayStation 1 game. It's got that certain polygon jank that PlayStation 1 games have, but overall it looks fun, it looks easy, and it's quite colourful, which, like, unlike most military shooters, it just wasn't a thing. The controls do get a little bit weird when it comes to like the start menu and selecting missions. It's not really that clear what you're supposed to be doing with that bit, but you know, I'm not going to really mess up, like hit on a game just because of the start menu. Now, when this game was released, it got pretty average to mid-level scores, which is perfectly fair because that's exactly what I would say this game is a pretty mid-level game. It's rated much higher on the Sega Saturn, and there's a few good reviews for the PlayStation, but overall we're looking at like 5 out of 10s, 8 out of 10 sort of level of play, which still is a good game despite how reviews are made nowadays. And also for complete 90s nostalgia, all of the cutscenes are these FMV videos of like budget tier actors just like hamming up and chewing scenery. It really reminds me of like the Star Wars games, which I can't remember, Rebel Assault games that are just terrible for that FMV sort of video format. But yeah, that's been me rambling on about one of my favorite games. A bit of a shorter video this week, but you know, I've got a lot on at the moment. I'm preparing a much bigger video for next week, so that'll be way more fun for everyone. But yeah, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.